Hi guys, welcome to the second strength class under the metabolic muscle category. With the focus here is on building your larger muscles, lots of muscle groups all at the same time, getting multiple joint movements in. We want to make sure we're topping this workout up with some good old-fashioned protein. So like I always go on about, aiming for a portion of protein in every single meal that you eat today. And on top of that, depending on when you've signed up and when you've joined this program, you will now see that there is a mobility warm-up in the warm-up section of the dashboard. That is a really good way to prep your body for these very exercises. Okay, we're going to get onto our mat now, so come down and join me on the floor. And assuming you may have already had a chance to do the mobility, I'm not going to repeat all of those exercises, but I do want to get you to focus on one of them at the moment. So we're going to set up our abdominals, we're going to roll our shoulders back and down. We're going to lengthen the left leg behind you and lift it. So the purpose of a warm-up is not just to warm up the body, it's also just to prepare for the work we're about to do. So we've got deadlifts to do today. Lengthening through that leg, I want you to now push the heel away from you and feel the stretch in the back of the leg as you squeeze your bum. Point the toes and then push the heel away as you squeeze your bum. Point and press. And it's that feeling when you're pressing the heel away that I want you to find in your deadlift. Relax the toes, lower and switch. Extend the other leg, lift it, hold it. Don't go higher than your bum, keep it in line. And we're simply going to press the heel away and point the toes, prepping our legs for the deadlift. Keep squeezing the bottom. And then two more, 2 and 1, and then release that all the way down again. Come back into a stretch. Okay. I'm going to repeat an exercise you've hopefully seen before, and if not, you're going to see it a lot more. We're going to call this the 90-90. So if you have a look at my legs here, I've got a 90-degree angle with my back leg and a 90-degree angle with my front leg. We're just going to simply, in this setup, and do your best, it doesn't have to look exactly like mine, just walking forwards to feel the stretch in that front hip. That's where you want to try and feel it. But it's not just the stretch, it's also this. It's the switching. So as you're switching sides, allowing that back leg to fall, and then we come into a little bit of a stretch. We're just going to repeat that another 2 times. So 2 times on each side. So go into that stretch and then up and allow that freedom of movement through the hips. It feels so good. We're back in that 90-degree angle as best you can. Do your best. Remember, it's also just this movement here that's great for the hips. Got one more on this side, one more on the other side, and then we're good to go. And then we're going to come back. Okay, lovely. So get us off the floor. We're going to come back onto all fours. We're going to connect the shoulder blades. We're going to tuck the toes under, scoop the abdominals in and up, press, hold. And we're going to walk the hands back. And then drop the heels as we round all the way up. Okay, what do you need for today's workout? Just like the previous metabolic muscle, we want 2 sets of weights, a higher weight and a lower weight. For the lower is for upper body, higher is for the lower body. I'm doing completely different exercises today from the previous workout. So we are literally hitting every single muscle group by the time you have completed the Pilates and the metabolic muscle 1 and metabolic muscle 2. Right, let's get started. So the first exercise is going to be your deadlift. Let's warm up our lower backs in preparation for that exercise. So I don't feel like we've completed our warm-up yet. We're going to take an inhale breath through the nose, chin towards the chest, and we're going to round down. In the mobility warm-up, you'll see that we do an exercise, a hinge, in what I call handcuffs. Drop the heels as you round, but now I want you to round because I want us to focus on the lower back stretching and the hamstring stretching. So do go and check out the mobility if you haven't already done so. Chin towards the chest and we round down. Drop the heels, hang forward. So notice what happens when you hang forwards. You feel more in the backs of the legs. We're going to round all the way up. Okay, we're going to do that 2 more times. Chin towards the chest as we round. Hang here. Exhale as we round up. 1 more time. If you feel like your back's a bit tight and you need a little bit more TLC, like I said, go and check out that mobility. It's very short and sweet. Exhale and round. And then roll the shoulders back and down. Okay, cool. Last thing we're going to do before we're ready to go is we're going to take a nice wide stance with our legs, turn out the toes, and we're going to come down into a nice deep squat. And then we're going to push up. We are doing sumo squats today. This is wider than a sumo squat. This is more like what you might see in a ballet bar class, where we're going quite wide with the legs just to open up the groin and start to get into the sides of the bum. 4 more. And 3. Squeeze through the glutes, through the heels. 2. Squeeze. And 1. Squeeze. Okay, and then lastly, let's just warm up those shoulders by rolling them back, down and around. Hopefully you are ready to go. So for the first set, we're doing 3 sets of everything. The first set of deadlifts, grab your lighter weights if you feel like you still need a little bit of a warm up, or if you're ready to go, you're going to grab your heavier weights. Okay, so this is the setup I want you to have for your deadlifts. We're going to take our feet slightly wider than your hips. We're going to have the weights in front of the thighs. And I don't want you to drop the shoulders. We've talked about that before. We want to keep them slightly active. So it's that feeling like you're about to rip rip some paper or break some pasta. So we want a little bit of oomph and strength through the upper body. Now, we're going to bend the knees. So don't take this into a squat, but we are going to bend the knees as we come down. We're going to lean into our heels, push through the heels as you squeeze lift. Depending on how heavy your weight is, depends on how many reps you're doing right now. So if you are finding this quite easy by the time we get to the 8th rep, this is number 4, you're going to continue. So we normally work within the 8 to 12 rep range and drag it up. So we're approaching the 8th rep. If you want to have a break now, go for it. Otherwise, we've got 4 more. Lean into those heels. And 3. Lean into those heels. 2 more times. For 2. And 1. And then we're taking a breather. Put the weight somewhere safe. Mine are quite light today, so I'm putting them on the floor. But if they're a bit heavier, they want to be on something a little bit higher up to save you having to keep going down to the floor. I know I always say that, but it's really important. Okay, we're on the clock having a breather. If you've done my mobility workout or class, you'll see I talk about doing this kind of handcuff hinge position in between sets. So if you feel like, oh, my back's a bit tight still, my hamstrings feel a bit tight, you could just go into some of those handcuff hip hinges just while we're waiting, because we are gonna hold out. You may have already finished earlier because you did 8 reps, so just bear with me. We're going to start getting set up. If you want to pick up your heavier weights now, go for it. If you don't have heavier weights, get a loop band, stick it around your thighs. We're going to be doing 2 more sets, so you can commit to that for the next 2 sets. Okay, pick up your weights, please, safely. Take your feet just a little bit wider than your hips. Abdominals are nice and tight. Okay, so remember, this is how we go into our deadlift. Strong shoulders. We're going to come down, lean into those heels, stick your tailbone up to the sky. That's the main difference between a squat and a deadlift. In a deadlift, your bum is going, your tailbone is going upwards. In a squat, your tailbone's going down. So decide, where's my tailbone? Is it up to the sky or is it down to the floor? If it's up to the sky, you're in the right place. We want to lean into those heels. Okay, we're about to approach number 8. So this is your 8th rep now. If you want to take a breather, take a breather. Otherwise, we got 4 more. Let's go. Squeeze your bottom, 4. And if you're at the 12, then you're just like, that's still not hard enough for me. You need to consider pausing the video and adding a whole other set, or like I say, grab a loop band, or it might be time to grab some heavier weights. Let's just do 1 more rep. And take a breather. I've been talking a lot to clients about getting a kettlebell for a space saver. Not for every exercise that we do, but for the good old-fashioned squats and deadlifts, a kettlebell works just as well as dumbbells, and it means you can just get a heavy weight and not have to worry about, they're still big, but it's easier to store sometimes than some dumbbells. Plus, it's just a different grip, which is quite a good way to challenge yourself. And I'm going to add some videos at some point where I'll be using a kettlebell so I can show you how to use them. So if you happen to have a kettlebell, maybe grab it. And if not, that could be a way of investing in your next set of weights. And introduce you to other exercises that I will be having on here, especially when I know that some of you have bought some kettlebells. Okay, let's get set for our final set. Okay, get ready. So remember all your little tips to make this harder for yourself. Let's take it away. We're going to stick that tailbone up, lean into the heels, and then drag, squeeze your bum. What I'm not asking you to do is squeeze your bum and lean back into your lower back. So we want to keep that tailbone just towards the floor, pointing towards the floor. So if you had an arrow on your tailbone, it would be pointing towards the floor. Okay, 3 more to take you to 8. 3, and drag it up, squeeze. 2, and drag it up. Bend those knees so you can lean into those heels, but not so your bum ends up coming down. Okay, this is 8. If you want to join me for 4 more reps, let's do it. If you want to keep going, because taking you to that 12th rep isn't doing it for you, don't stop. Find your maximum, that point where you feel like if I do any more, I'm going to lose my technique, so that you might need another few. Right, that's 12. Carry on if you need to. It's your final set. This is the one. If you feel like you need to, then get it done. And otherwise, you're having a pause with me. You're having a brief pause. I'm going to take a very quick sip of water, actually. It might be worth doing the same. Just grab some water. Okay. Right, next exercise. That was a really nice lower body hit. Now we're going to come down to, or up rather, to the shoulders and the upper back muscles. We're going to do our lateral raises. So what we want to with a lateral raise, we want to remember that when we're going about our daily lives, our hands tend to be in front of the body. So when we're performing these exercises, you want to make sure that your hands or your dumbbells are in your peripheral vision. Now there's 2 ways of doing a lateral raise. You can do a straight arm version or a slightly bent arm version. I prefer the bent arm because again, we tend to have our arms bent in our everyday lives. We don't tend to walk around like this. So you'll see me performing the exercise with a bend in the elbow. If you don't like that, if you prefer to do the straight arm, go for it. My preference is with the bent arm. You might have been confused if you've seen that before. Okay, this is your lateral raise. We're going to aim for 12 reps. Now, this is where you want to pick up a lighter set of weights if you have. You're normally doubling the weight for the legs, if not more. So that gives you an idea. I've got 3 kilos here. Okay, have your feet set up at hip width. We're aiming for the 8 to 12 rep range again. And then the other thing I want you to do now is set your shoulders up so they're not dragging down into the body, but they're back and up but strong, a bit like bodybuilder-esque, okay? And then we're going to bring the weights to the edge of your dumbbells together with a brace in the belly. We lift and lower. Now I talk sometimes about pelvic floor exercises that you don't realize are pelvic floor exercises. Well, let me tell you, when you're lifting your weight up, your pelvic floor is having to carry that weight. So notice how it feels there. Are you able to brace it here as you lift? Sometimes people say to me, when should I breathe? Well, when you can brace your pelvic floor when you need it. So we've got 1 more to take you to 8. Carry on with me if you want to do 4 more. So I feel like my pelvic floor needs that brace as I lift because that's where the weight gets heavier. 2 more. But of course, do what feels right for you. You may not have even thought about it before. And then just release. Okay, that's your 12th rep. If you want to go on because you feel like the weight you had was too light, go on for more. Okay, I tend to work within 3 to 6 kilos, depending on how I'm feeling, where I am in my cycle. Today it feels like a 3 kilo day. Roll out those shoulders, see how it feels. We're going to get going in a moment with another set of 8 to 12 reps. So walk around. You can go into some shoulder release work if you feel that you need it. So use these minutes to rest, but maybe do some mobility as well. Grab some water if you need it. Okay, we're about to get ready for our next set. Let's go. Pick up your weights safely, please. Let's have our feet at hip distance. Set up your shoulders for success rather than for your neck to hurt you. Abs are on. Remember, the pelvic floor is going to be working really hard here. So grab onto those abdominals gently. Get the pelvic floor switched on. Weights together. Here we go. Open and down. And down. Once you know your pelvic floor is set, by the way, you can breathe, however. So you might just notice you're able to brace it, whether you're breathing in or you're breathing out. But if in doubt, breathe out as you lift. This is 6, I'm going to just do a side view so you can remember those arms for me are staying slightly bent. We're keeping the dumbbells in your periphery. 3 and 2 and 1 and release. Okay, that is your second set over and done with. Take a pause, take a breather, grab some water. We've got a minute rest. If you feel like those weights are a bit too light for you, go and grab your heavier weights. Keep your lighter weights next to you. You can do what we call a drop set. Start with your heavy weights, maybe only 2 or 3 reps. That's too much. Put the rate, or that's enough. Put those weights down, grab your lighter weights and complete your set there. Don't avoid the heavy weights if you feel like you can. If you feel like you've got it in you, do it. Even if it's 2 reps, 3 reps, it's perfect. We're about to get ready for our second set. Third set, not second set. Right, let's grab those weights. If I wasn't using such light weights, I would not be picking them up like that. So remember, the easiest thing for you to do is have them on a chair, safely, one stacked over the other. All right, let's get ready. Abs on, shoulders ready. We're going into our lateral raise. Here we go. This is a functional movement. It's a movement we don't do enough, just raising our arms, but it's functional. If you lose it, use it or lose it. It's one of those. Okay, 3. And this is to 8. You've got 4 more reps if you're with me. Take a breather if you need to. If you've gone for a heavier weight, listen to your body. Fewer reps at a heavier weight is perfect. That's what we're aiming for. Well done. You're done with those. So the safest way really for me to put these down is my back to you. Put the weights there. Okay, take a little breather. The next exercise is your sumo squat. So we've done regular squats in the other video. We want to hit different angles. And I think rather than making you do something that's well, this is more knee friendly, let's put it like that. So basically a side lunge is less knee friendly. So I was thinking, what could I do to get you to hit those same muscles without having to move side to side? So this is what we're doing. We're doing our sumo squat. In our warm-up, we went quite wide, but actually for the squat itself, we don't want to be quite as wide as that. We want to go a bit wider than shoulders, but the idea of a sumo is to turn out the toes. So we're not going to be those parallel lines like a regular goblet squat. We're turning out the toes slightly. If you have a heavier weight or even a kettlebell, this is a good time to grab it. So if you're using a kettlebell, you're just going to hold it between your legs like so, and that's how you'll take yourself into your sumo squat. Or imagining that this one's a bit of a heavier weight, you can do the same with your dumbbell, or you can hold your dumbbell up here. You're going to see me holding my dumbbell here. One of the reasons why is I'm using quite a light weight, and it means I can get a bit lower, because of course if I've got my dumbbell there, that's going to stop me. But it's all good, okay? Whatever position you prefer, it's very hard to hold a heavy weight like this. Okay, ready to go? First set of sumo squats. Let's take it away. We're going to take our tailbones down. Now I talked about how is a squat different from a deadlift. That's why you're taking your bottom downwards to the floor and you're getting deep. You know, if it's looking like a deadlift, you're not going deep enough. Now another little trick. Look at my elbows. If I'm holding my dumbbell like this, my elbows can touch my thighs. It doesn't work if you're here. Obviously that's slightly different, but if you're touching the floor, you're doing really well. But if you're doing the same position as me, see if you can get on top or inside your thighs. 3 more to take you to 8. Squeeze. 2 more. And 1 more. Okay, 4 more if you're with me. So something I always notice is I get lower on my left side than my right. So by making sure I'm tapping my thigh with my right elbow, I know I'm doing it more balanced. We always have one side stronger than the other. 1 more time. Down, up, breathe. Okay, if you need a heavier weight, grab a heavier weight. Or I'm going to show you now how we can do this exercise with 2 weights. So if your only way of doubling the weight or increasing the weight is to grab 2 weights, I'm going to show you how to do it with this. So you're having a breather, you're having a break. This is how we're going to do our sumo squat from here. Holding the weights together and just coming down low. You can still touch the thighs and squeeze, lift. You could hang 2 weights here. I don't feel like that's as comfortable for my hands. I don't think that works on the grip. So take your option. My dumbbells have this nice ridge where they naturally come together. You might find yours do. Okay, let's get set up. Turn out the toes, abs on tight. Here we go, take it away. Shoulders ready. So obviously my positioning is slightly different with my arms, just because I've got the extra weight now. But I'm still doing the same thing. Still taking my elbows to touch the thighs. Push your heels into the ground. If you find that your heels struggle to get to the floor, you might want to put some trainers on. It's the only time I would say maybe grab some trainers. 3 more here to take you to 8. Carry on with that. I'm going to show you another option, which I think you've seen me do before, which is taking your heels onto the edge of your mat. And that will also give your heels a bit more support. So try that if you're noticing that your heels are budging a bit. 2 more. 1 more. Take a breather. Okay, so the last thing I want to say about squats, and I know I talk about this all the time, but while you're having a break, let me go through it again. When we squat, we don't want to be like this because that goes into our backs and it puts your back in a really dangerous position. So think of, and I normally do this with a broomstick, think of your spine, including the back of the head, as a broomstick, okay? So as you squat down, if I had a broomstick here, I wouldn't be able to lift my head. In fact, the broomstick would force my head that way. So that means that I keep the 45-degree angle with my body. So if you notice you're squatting like that, I want you to focus for this final set on correcting your neck position. I'm going to do a side set for you now. And actually on my mat, it means I can put my heels on the edge to give me a bit more heel support. So try that one if you fancy. Okay, abs on, shoulders on, let's go. Down, down, touch the thighs, squeeze, lift. Down, down, touch the thighs, squeeze, lift. Squeeze, lift. It's also a sneaky pelvic floor exercise for you, but you don't even need to think about this one because it's happening without you having to think about it. This is 7. Strong shoulders, please. 8. Okay, you've got 4 more. Get lower if you can. Maybe taking those elbows in between the thighs to help you. 2 more times. If that wasn't quite enough for you, keep going to make it to 15. I'll join you. Let's do more. 3. And 2. And 1. And then take a breather. All right, weights come down. We're going to take a rest for a moment. Have some water. You've got 60 seconds. It's amazing what you can do in half an hour. Almost finished our strength workout. You have worked every body part apart from, well, no, we've done core, but we're going to do a bit of core at the end, don't worry. What we're going to do now is some more work for the back. Now, in the previous workout, we did the underhand row, which was really good for activating your biceps, as well as your back, of course, posture muscles. So we're going to do the same exercise, except with an overhand row. So the focus now is less on the biceps and much more on the upper body. What we're going to do in our rest is we're going to do a sneaky little bit of bicep curling. Now, bicep curls as an exercise in themselves are not the most groundbreaking exercises. However, we do need strong biceps because if you know anyone who's got issues with their shoulders or their rotator cuffs, you might know, or you can ask them about their rehab, would have involved strengthening their bicep as well. So I like to add a little bit of that work in. Let's grab our weights. We're going to get set up into our rows. Now it's a very similar position to the end of the deadlift. So let's take our feet parallel. They can turn out slightly if that's more comfy for the knees. Your back needs to be safe here. So we're going to check on how the back feels. Take those weights down as you hinge. So we've hinged at the knicker line. The abs are nice and tight. Now we're going to drag our elbows past the waist and then release them down. And you should feel straight away that goes into the traps, which is the muscles that sit above the bra strap into the shoulders. It's the muscles that when we are on our phones, texting or whatever, scrolling, it's that muscle that gets longer and weaker and ages more quickly. So you might feel that your backs, the legs are kicking in a bit, by the way. Sorry. That's from the deadlifts. You can have a quick breather, of course. Okay, we're going to do 4 more if you're aiming for 12. And 3 more, just driving those elbows up. 2 more. 2 and 1. And then come up to standing, take a breather. So now we've done 1 set and you know the exercise. I'm going to quickly talk to you about the technique. So you're having a break. What we want to do is bring the weights up so they line up with the top of the ribs. So if you were a bit lower than that or a bit too high, when we do our next set, just check that the dumbbells end up by the ribs. And I did promise you we were going to do some bicep curls. So I want you to turn your palms inwards and we're going to do a hammer. Why are we doing a hammer? Because we don't tend to walk around with our hands like this. We tend to walk around with our hands like this. If we were picking up shopping bags or anything, we would probably have our wrists turned in. So we're just trying to burn out our biceps. What shouldn't be happening is your heart rate shouldn't be going mega high. If you are raising your heart rate, I actually want you to stop because it's not a cardio class. This is just to add a little bit of extra burn and fire to your arms. 2 more times. 2 and 1. Okay, so we've got a little bit of a burn going in those arms hopefully now. Heart rate should be quite stable. We're about to get set up. So take those feet parallel. Shoulders are strong, abs on tight as we hinge down. This feels like a deadlift, but then we pull and release. I like to breathe out as on the exertion, as you lift, as you pull back, because then you can connect the core at the same time. If your hamstrings take over here and you just need a quick break, just come up to standing and then do a reset. Okay, 2 more to take you to 8. Pull up with those elbows and the upper back muscles. All right, carry on with me if you're still here. Let's go 4 and 3. Before you let the weights come back down, make sure you feel the upper back one more time. Don't miss that all-important part. Whew, hinge up, take a breather. Okay, just pause, reset the body. I'm going to go back into those hammer curls. We did alternating single arms. Now we're going to try both arms. The heart rate might go up more now because we're using more muscles and more joints. Just take it slowly. Remember, the aim is to feel the power through those biceps, not to get the heart rate mega high. We're going to failure unless you can do the whole minute. But you're getting to that point where you think, oh, I couldn't do any more. So for reference, I'm using 3 kilos now. I can probably do these up to about 8 kilos, but I do fewer reps. So if you've got heavy weights with you, you want to try 3 reps, go for it. Okay, we're going to do 2 more here. And 1 more. We're going to take a little pause to reset the body because we've got 1 more set to go. Okay, let's reset. Parallel legs, shoulders strong. Let's come down. Okay, here we go. We're going to pull and release. Pull and release. Working those upper back muscles. Gorgeous upper back muscles. The anti-aging muscles, I call it. Plus what right now your core is so solid. Okay, that was 8, 4 more. So your core is helping you keep this position without you hurting your back at all. 2 more and 1 more and come up to stand. Whew. Take a breather. Okay, put those weights down. Put them down. We're coming towards the end of our class. We're going to make our way down onto the floor. We're going to do a roll down to get there. Take an inhale breath, drop the chin and just roll down. And I want you to walk yourself onto all fours. Onto all fours. The heart rate is still going a little bit now. We're going to take this into some plank work. So coming onto hands and knees, extend one leg, abs on tight, extend the other leg. We've just burnt out your upper body. You're about to feel that now, just holding this plank position. If your hips are too high, you're not sure, tuck the tailbone under, squeeze your glutes, hold it for another 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the knees down and stretch. Now we're taking the heart rate down slowly. It wouldn't have gone mega high, but it certainly would have raised. And then come back. Get ready. Strong through the arms, abs on tight. Extend one leg and the other leg and we hold it. Strong through the glutes. Push through those arms. Don't start to go soggy here. Of course, if you need to, you can drop the knees and hold a plank here. You could even do it against a wall. 8, 7, 6. This is strengthening your hands as well, so feel those hands working. 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop the knees and stretch, stretch, stretch. Stretch out. Stay here. Catch your breath. Round up through the spine. Coming onto your knees rather. Step forwards with one leg. Tuck the tailbone under. So right now, my back leg is my right leg. I'm going to lift my right arm up to the sky. And if it feels okay, you can go into a slight side bend too, as long as that feels good for you. Just stretching through the hip flex. So now we release the arm. And we're going to take it into a hamstring stretch. So if you move your back knee out the way a little bit, just basically create a bit of space between your legs. And then take it easy. Take your time as you just walk back. Remember, this is not my favorite area to stretch, so it's probably going to look better on you than it does on me. Drag the abdominals back, feel that stretch, ease off. I'm going to do that again. Just pull the tailbone away from you, stretch through the back of that leg, and then release it. Okay, so very carefully bring yourself back up. You can hold on to something if you need to. Switch sides. So if I've stepped forwards now with that right leg. The left leg is the back leg. We tuck the tailbone under. I've got my left arm up. You can stay here or you can take it into a mini side bend. So we're just opening up the side of the body here. And now bring that hand down to the floor. Create some space between the knee and the heel. And then we start to walk. I'm going to move my knee back a bit. Walk back and feel the length through the back of the leg. Looking down, unless you're looking at me. The toes are up. We're creating space. Allow that tailbone to free. Now we release. Inhale, exhale, and stretch. Carefully release that. Come out of it. Come back onto all fours. On your out breath, stretch. Hold, 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 hold. Soften the knees, walk your hands backwards. Hang forwards there, drop the heels. Use your out breath to slowly round and release. You are all finished. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the workout and I look forward to seeing you at the next one. Take care, bye.